Hello and welcome to another episode of Scavenger Life. This is episode number 230 at scavengerlife.com. And we are also known as Trash Shelf Radio.
Okay, so welcome everybody to the show.
We hope you're photographing, listing, or packing. I hope that packing is annoying, because that means you made some money.
Yep, and actually, this isn't really a show. It's more about just kind of a update on our own a little eBay business. Some things that happened. So this week, Wednesday, eBay was down.
Yes.
For the morning.
Yeah, it wasn't down for too long. And what was happening too for me I could go on eBay, but I could not print labels, which is a bummer in the morning because you're trying to get stuff out before your post office person comes. So I actually printed labels on PayPal directly. That's what my solution was.
Yeah, it's kind of cool to see people that came on the comments and people were trying to figure out, troubleshoot how to get around those problems. And I looked at a couple other forums I watch, and people were saying the same things just about the problems and all that.
And I went to one of those websites like isthisitedown.com or whatever, and they did say eBay was down. Yeah. So,
which, and some people had some good points. It's like, man, eBay, it's like, if you're going to be doing major upgrades, like, do not do it
on Thanksgiving weekend.
In November.
Or Thanksgiving week or whatever.
I know they do these spring and fall seller updates or whatever, but, fall should be like, September. But don't be doing this, now. It's
the slowest retail season is summer.
Right.
Do it then.
Right. They should do it. They should do any changes in February and I don't know.
And
July.
June.
Yeah.
It's just man, that was painful.
Yeah, I hear you. It's and I assume that the eBay engineers are changing things while trying to keep it all.
Yeah, of course.
It's going, and then they they make some code live, and then suddenly
it breaks something else.
And I guess you got to think about it. It's like a 20-plus-year-old website.
Yeah.
30-year website.
Yeah.
I don't know, 20 years. I mean, so there's probably all kinds of just layers and layers of clunky old code, and then they're trying to put new stuff on top of it.
Yeah, I get that.
It's definitely no excuse because they're a billion-dollar corporation, but, I guess at the end of the day, things seem to get fixed.
It did work out, but people are definitely people are running businesses. So when you're trying to run your business, I need to upload this tracking. I need to get these packages out for people because they're expecting it. And eBay is expecting me to upload my tracking today. Right. And you can't do that. It's kind of what do you do?
I do wonder if Amazon goes through these kind of issues too, or if they're have a better reputation, because their website's about as old as eBay's, and I wonder if they
it's about as massive. I mean, it's such a massive website. So,
all right, something else we saw was Bonanza.
Yes,
this had been something people had said that Bonanza was ending their listings on eBay,
right?
If it's sold on Bonanza, which we didn't know was possible. We thought that if something sold on eBay, it would end it on Bonanza automatically.
Right, but not the other way around.
But someone was saying that during the summertime, and we actually saw an example of that.
Right, so I think it's a new option because I have an old Bonanza store. My Bonanza store is actually from 2009. I still had an active...
When it was
Bonanza. Before they could get Bonanza.com. So... I opened a second store on Bonanza because of our second store. So on
eBay.
Our eBay second store, I sunk up with Bonanza just recently, within the past couple weeks.
A mirror store.
A mirror store, yeah, it is kind of a mirror store. And I saw that option, end listings on eBay that sell on Bonanza. I had never seen that option before. So I checked it, and I sold a hat. And within a few minutes, it was ended on eBay.
And what happened was we got a message from eBay that said, your item didn't sell.
Right, it's ended.
Relist it.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, it did end it for me.
Yeah.
So I went back in my main store, and I'm pretty sure I checked that option off. It was very difficult to find.
I think that's very cool, but honestly, we really don't sell that much on Bonanza to really...
I wish we sold a lot on Bonanza, honestly. I do.
another thing that happened was we sold another piece of furniture since last week.
People are shopping for furniture right now.
I don't know.
Which I love. I actually was thinking, like, let's just sell only furniture.
So here's the deal. Back in the summertime, back last year.
Last year, yeah.
Yeah, it was like almost a year ago.
Yeah.
We were looking for some furniture for our rental house.
Right.
And... we don't like to pay full price.
Never.
So we found like a thrift store, and they were selling this beautiful 3 pieces, like mid-century walnut furniture for $75.
And very mid-century modern.
Like they were just trying to, and like we always talk about, we always run across these deals where this really nice furniture, some store just wants the space. Yeah. And they're just like, they've given up on it. So we took all 3 pieces of furniture. And one of the pieces of furniture, it's like a tall...
It's a tall dresser,
we used at a rental, and we put like a flat screen TV on it.
Yeah, we used it as a TV stand / you can put your clothes in.
And that's what we got it for. So $75 for that, and then these 2 other pieces of furniture we just like stored away. So we sold 2 side tables.
Yeah.
For how much
so we sold 2 side tables for $230 for the pair, and this woman actually had Plycon, they're a freight company, come pick it up from our house, which was a dream.
She was like probably an interior decorator.
Yeah, she was a designer, so she was buying it for someone else.
So then we had this huge, giant...
Another dresser.
Yeah, like big.
Not a tall one, a long one.
And so it's really nice, but we were worried about we're now stuck. It's with this thing and it's in our storage.
Yeah, it's massive.
But someone gave us an offer of $300.
Yeah, I had it up for $500.
We took it. And then everyone here, some people were emailing us after it last week where we talked about how we drove all weekend to...
We did 2 furniture deliveries for free.
Well, this is woman, she lives in D.C. and she's like, can you bring it to me? And like everyone said, they just said charge a fee. So we were like, well, pay us $150. And she was like, that's too much money. I'm not going to do it.
Well, what's so great is this is the story. So we talk back and forth, and we're like, $300 is not enough for us to drive because it's 2 hours one way. So that's 4 hours. That's basically the whole day. And we're like, let's charge $150 because you will not get a cheaper delivery for anyone.
You'll pay for our gas, our time, and then we have things we want to do in DC anyway, so it's perfect.
So she said, I'll try to find someone cheaper. And we were like, cool. If someone wants to pick it up from our house, we are happy to do that, problem. Clearly she couldn't find someone cheaper because driving 2 hours outside of DC and 2 hours back plus loading it in her house, no way you're going to find someone to do it for that cheap. So it was a good lesson because it means that if you're willing to do it for a cheaper price than a freight company or a moving company, this person wants it bad enough that she's like, great, I'll pay an extra $150.
And also in this case, too, like I said, it's about who's hungrier.
Yes.
So last week, we were pretty hungry, and when people bought these pieces of furniture, we were hungry, and I was like, I want to sell these. I don't want this to lose this deal.
Right.
This week, when we sold this $300 piece of furniture, I wasn't as hungry.
Right.
Because the thing, I was a little tired from driving.
Yeah.
And I was willing, if she said, I'm going to cancel it, I would be like, okay, that's fine.
If she had paid full price, if she had paid $500, I would be a little more hungry. But $300, I was like...
But then with the $150, she has essentially paid
almost
price.
$500, yeah.
So anyway, after this podcast, we're about to hop in the truck and drive into DC and do some scavenging.
IKEA.
Go to IKEA.
Go eat some meatballs.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. Something else we did this week on Friday night. We went to our favorite auction.
Friday night date night.
It is. It's actually one of the first auctions we went to as like real business scavengers,
You stumbled upon it by accident.
I stumbled upon it by accident. It happened to be run by this family. We've talked about them. It's before. It's just a fun time. Yeah. A lot of regulars come to this auction.
Like you see people and you're like, pretty much everybody.
And like we've said, it's before. We've gone to many other auctions too. Yeah. And now we've learned, like, I'd say 80% of people at auctions are dealers.
Yeah.
People that have thrift stores, or they buy and sell online, or they have a flea market,
Yeah.
Like, They're there
booth or
to buy in bulk, just like us. And so that's why I say anyone who hasn't ever been to an auction who is a scavenger, I mean, these are perfect for you. Like, it will not be weird for you to go there and buy a carload of stuff.
Yeah, people do not blink
everyone
at that.
does.
Yeah.
Anyway, unfortunately, a wife had a heart attack. It's fine. But they announced that they're closing down
they're retiring
their auction business.
Now, I will say they're closing down the main building.
Right.
But they're still going to do on-site auctions and stuff like that.
The husband's still going to go to people's estates and do auctions.
Yeah.
But
it's not as fun.
Yeah, so it's really a shame. And I think it just reminds me how rare it is to find a little small business that's kind of like open to the public that has created like a
following, you know.
I think it's very rare, especially in this day and age of just huge corporations where we're all just going and buying at, you know, these gigantic box stores where, you know, employees are literally just like hourly workers.
Yeah.
You know? Like, there's no real personality. And so it's really, we find hard to find these like cool, a little well-run, personable businesses.
Well, and part of the auctions too is you are finding incredibly unique items for very cheap. Like, we'll talk about some of the stuff we bought, and you know, it's so hard to find things like that, you know, in environments like that. You know?
It's also hard to find, you know, we've been to other auctions. Some auction houses don't do a good job of attracting estates that have a lot of cool
quality stuff.
Like, we've gone to a lot of auctions where, like, it seems like they're just attracting like junk houses.
I mean, you know, like hoarder houses,
or just, it doesn't even matter if they're hoarder, but just the taste of the people is not very good. So the stuff is junk. These people were always getting estates that had
good stuff,
cool stuff, wool rugs,
great box lots,
nice furniture. Yeah, great.
We've found some crazy stuff in their box lots.
I'm sure other people can feel this who have been around for a while. When you have a source that you go to again and again for good quality items, and your business kind of depends on it, and then when that source closes down, it makes you think like, wow, this is, you know,
rare,
it's fragile, like this whole a system that we have.
We've seen another auction house that was a big auction house a little bit further away from us. They just do online auctions now. Yeah. Like, and they were massive. They had an auction every single week in a huge warehouse. We didn't go there as often. In-person auction, because it was further away. It was like an hour and a half away. But I said to you the other day, well, now that these guys are shutting down, we should go to that other one. And you're like, they shut down too. Well, they only do online.
Yeah, so they only do online auctions.
So it's smart for them business-wise, but for the little folk.
But part of the fun of auctions
is to go in person.
And there's like a little old ladies that sit up front. It's like, and some of them have been going there for so long, their names are even on the chairs.
I know.
So real quick, so the fun thing about this auction was we bought a 10 by 12 wool rug.
Gorgeous wool rug.
For $90.
I thought we were going to pay like $200 for that thing.
I was thinking $300.
Yeah, $200, $300. And I was willing to because it's a gorgeous rug and I wanted it.
There was only one person that bid against us and they dumped out at $90.
I wish that they weren't even... We would have gotten it for like $20.
I also found, and this is something I love, there was like a pile of old oak boards.
Yeah.
A lumber and like mantle pieces. Like... not hand sawn, but
it's what do you call it when it's a rough sawn?
Yeah, a rough sawn from like and it's old, and I bought the whole pile for $110. So
now, when you were bidding against those other guys and it was getting up to $100, I was getting pissed because I was just like, really?
Ryan will sit next to me and be like, she starts making these noises. Like,
oh my God. Oh. But I will admit that I did not look through that wood. Yeah. I just glanced at it.
Yeah.
And then when we were putting it in the car, number one, it was a lot more than I thought it was.
Right.
And number two, there were several kind of mantle pieces.
Right, like big, thick,
I mean, you cannot pay $100 for one of those pieces at like an antique, like
and
salvage
what are we
place.
going to do with it? Well,
store it.
when we have projects, that's the kind of wood you go into, and you can make beautiful
things,
shelving,
mantle pieces.
trim around windows. I mean, it's going to be perfect. So
yeah, I mean, it's for we grab that stuff when we find it cheap.
I mean, hell, you know, you go to like it's Lowe's and spend $110 on just
junk wood,
you know,
2x4s.
Yeah.
But I will say this: when we were doing the farmhouse, it took us 3 years to do the farmhouse. I mean, we were gathering wood at any chance we could, not knowing exactly what we were going to use it for, but having some idea that we're going to need this for something.
Right.
We have some vague ideas. And as scavengers, you know, if you don't use it for some reason, you can sell it to other people later, you know? So I don't feel bad about getting stuff like that.
And then the last thing of note that we bought these 2 beautiful handmade oak side tables.
Yes. They're like mission style. They're kind of like arts and crafts mission style. But I think they're newly made. Like, they were made recently, but it's kind of like this beautiful...
Yeah, solid,
vintage
heavy
look.
Yeah, and we actually paid $125 for those. Those
yeah, I did. We were bidding against the one of the auctioneers. It's his wife. She wanted the tables too, and that's actually the funny thing about auctions. And people get weird about it, but the people who work there can bid on stuff.
Yeah,
but it doesn't matter. I mean, they're like, I'm not bidding up the price.
I know. I guess if you feel like it's sketchy, like people are trying to bid up prices, then that's one thing. But we know that these people...
I mean, they rarely bid on stuff.
But it's a sign that they knew that it was really nice and they wanted it for themselves.
But we got them for $125, which was more than I wanted to pay. But then when we got them home, I was like,
did you go to IKEA?
If you go to IKEA and get 2 side tables, it's going to cost that much for particle board.
Yep.
So these are beautiful.
Okay, so real quick, before we get into our numbers, I wanted to ask you a question, Ryan.
Yes, you often are asking me questions.
So, I've noticed on the blog, and, different people sell different things, and we just did an interview with John, or AKA
Resale Rabbit.
And, he, mainly seems to focus on, electronics and video games.
Video games, yeah.
Does it matter what you sell on eBay? Like, if someone's just wanting to start out, does it matter what you sell?
Me personally, it does matter to me what I sell, because I have to walk into a store or an auction or a whatever and care about what those items are. And know about them and want to know about them and want to do the research and maybe want to have them in my house. Right. Personally, when I see those dudes who do video games, who really know the video, I grew up with people like this, because we had the most crude video games, and as we got older, they got really sophisticated.
Very quickly.
So, I would go over to my friend's house in college and it would just be 10 guys around this tiny 13-inch TV, we got the Sega Genesis, we got the newest one, and of course all the girlfriends are so bored, but not to say there aren't girl gamers. There are girl gamers. We just weren't girl gamers. But things like that to me are not fun and not interesting, and I don't want to sell those things at all. But there are things that I really love to sell. I love to sell rugs. When we bought that rug the other night, I was texting with my mom because I was taking pictures of the rug. Look at this rug we bought. It's so awesome. And I was saying, I wish I could just sell rugs. I would love to just, only just walk into an auction and just be, looking at the rugs, and that's all I'm buying.
Right.
But for me, you have to, because if you don't have a passion for it, you get so bored. There are things that I'll start picking up, and then I'm like, why did I do that? They will sell eventually, but I think that you have to be interested and know who the audience is. The video game guys, we were watching some video of these video game guys on YouTube.
Yeah, Resale Rabbit pointed us to these guys. They're in Conroe, Texas. If you're from Texas and you know where Conroe is,
that's funny when you saw they were from there.
And they make these videos where they go into dumpsters behind Half Price Books and GameStop. Yeah. And they had this one video where one night, I guess, both stores were dumping their stuff, and they were just finding
Oh, so much
games
stuff.
And books
and like consoles, like old consoles and stuff. Right. And it was fun to watch them have fun.
I could enjoy them having fun.
Yeah.
I thought I would be so bored trying to sell that stuff.
I couldn't care less to sell that stuff. Because I'm not a gamer. But gamers get excited about this stuff. But what I am is someone who likes to redo houses, likes to have wool rugs in my house, in every room, in every house I own.
Right.
You know, like, that's 2 houses. You know,
You're really focused on these wool rugs. I mean, it's such a small amount of what we sell.
But they sell for a lot of money, and if you get really big ones, like 10 by 12s, they can sell for a lot. Like, I focus on little ones because they're easier to ship and easier to store. But if you go bigger, they can sell for a lot of money. And they're fun.
I think that's just, it's your obsession right now.
I am.
Your temporary obsession.
I know.
So I think the answer is, it does matter and it doesn't matter. You know, it's both.
Sure.
Absolutely what you said. If you aren't interested in what you sell, you're going to get burned out really quick. Like,
bored,
Like, I can imagine someone gets started out, they buy a bunch of stuff, they put in a lot of work, like a month's work, and then after a month, they're like, that was a lot of work, and I don't like what I'm doing.
It's so boring.
And then they get burned out. You know? So that's why it's important. I mean, but at the same time, it really doesn't matter in some ways if people are asking, well, what do I make more money at? I find that you're going to make about the same amount of money no matter what you're going to sell, as long as you're finding the stuff that makes you happy. Right. Because, like, if you sell a bunch of glassware versus electronics versus clothes, I mean, I find, like, the prices are all going to be about the same stuff if you know it and if you can sell it to your community.
Yeah, you know? The people who you... Like, no.
Like, I think that's one of my problems with, like, when I think of trying to sell video games or consoles, is just, it's just like you said, I don't know that stuff, so I don't know why a Sega 2 is better than whatever,
something else.
Alien something, you know. Like,
you don't even know.
Call of Duty.
Call of Duty.
And again, this is what, I know this is going to sound real cheesy, but I was trying to say it last time, and I saw someone write about this online. And this guy, him and his friend, they started that company Basecamp. You know, it's like that. It's like
that software, online software.
It's like this online site. It's been around for a while. It's much more common now, but back in the day, it's
like collaboration software.
And it was collaboration software, so people that work in companies can work together.
On documents
in the cloud. You know, and these 2 guys, they started the company from scratch. They didn't take any money at all, and that seems to be kind of rare.
Very rare.
The company got popular. And so they own the whole thing. And he said that they sold a tiny portion of the company to the Amazon founder, Jeff Bezos.
Jeff Bezos. I was going to say Piero Mediar.
And so they got a bunch. That's
eBay, I know.
And so they both got a bunch of cash, you know, several $1 million.
Okay.
And then he just talked about... He went out and he bought a Lamborghini.
Oh my God!
And there was a picture of him, and he bought, like, you know, he was saying the things he bought, but then he said, you know, it's money's good. You know, it's nice. Like, who's not going to want some money?
Money is nice.
But what he said was, at the end of the day, what kept making him happy was what had always made him happy, was just like working on his software, working with the people that he had kind of built as a team. You know, just like. The money didn't bring him more happiness, you know, and what he called it was flow, you know, like that's what he loved in his life, was like the flow and tranquility of the life that he had built. Right. And that's, I guess, and those 2 words I really like, because that's what I was trying to talk about is last week, about when I was like taking pictures of things and like cleaning stickers off of, like, items. And, you know, it's just, I like that about our business. I like the flow that we've created. You know? The waking up without an alarm clock. Eating breakfast when we want to. Kind of, you know, starting work when we want to. And then when I get into the work, I just kind of
it's a flow.
You know, it's kind of a timeless time when I'm just working on something without any stress.
Well, it's like when I say I, like, don't want any distractions, and I'm like, I just want to list stuff. you get into a flow and it's like Zen. There's like a zen to it where you're like, I'm not responsible for anything else today but this.
Right.
Like you block it off, you know?
And there isn't like stress that I've got to get something done or someone's like looking over my shoulder. It's more about like, I'm accomplishing something right now, and there's a lot of problems that I'm solving, and I'm just getting through it, and it feels good. And I think that is different than, you know, we make fun of the idea of building an empire. Which I guess you know
you can do that.
People
if you want.
do that, you know, and that's why we have all these huge, great companies. I guess, you know, is like people who are really into like they don't want to just be calm; they want to like have gigantic companies,
right?
Which is cool. But I guess it goes back to the idea of that auction house that we love, that's run by the
family.
A family, they obviously weren't into building some empire. Like, they aren't passing the business on. You know, they're just going to close it down and just get on. It's with their life, and kind of that a light just kind of closes down. You know, I mean, it's just how it is. You know? But they've obviously found something in their life that they've enjoyed.
Right. And they're scaling back.
So, does it matter what you sell? I mean, in a long, roundabout way, it just matters in the sense of you have to enjoy what you're selling.
Like, you can be agnostic about what you're selling as long as you're satisfied with what you're doing. You know what I mean? You
know, at the end of the day, what's most important for us is just scavenging in general. What can we get for cheap?
Right.
You know, so we're always going out there. We talk about, we love to look in the corners. We love to look in the boxes.
In the piles.
You know, that's why we kind of don't really go to Goodwill very often, where everything's like brightly lit and well laid out. It's kind of like already been found for you. We love to get into the darkness. But we tend towards certain items because it excites us
exactly.
more. But if I found like a box of video games for $5, I'd buy them just on principle.
Yeah, exactly.
And then get a big education about what sells.
Right. But I think what you just said is interesting, because that's why we moved away from clothing. Even though clothing sells really well.
And we still buy it.
We still buy it. We still sell it.
But it's probably 30% of our business now.
But like when you were going through men's shirts and men's pants, and we had a lot of them.
Right.
It was just kind of like, if I can get through this and be done with it and they start selling, I'll be happy. But they pants and shirts sell so well that I'm like, I have to buy these, you know?
But we really don't buy them like we used to. Like in the old days, we would, I mean, and that's why we had big piles of them.
Yeah.
They're cheap and we were just buying them. And now when we do buy pants or in shirts, we really make sure
we're selective.
And we only know that because we went through all those and listed all those, and now we have a better idea of what sells and how much they sell for.
Right.
So now we're really only buying the pants and shirts that
you're more selective.
We know will really sell.
But I think that's a good example of, you can be kind of like neutral about something, like, men's pants, so that's not fun. But then they start selling and you're like, oh, those are really good sellers. Like, I'm always going to get those.
Like the military wool pants.
You can sell those for $60 a pair.
$60 to $80. So we always get those.
So it's like, anytime I see those, I don't care if I'm like, this is boring. I'm like, nope, that'll sell. So it changes, you know.
Okay, so here are our numbers for the week. And again, we just do these numbers for ourselves to get a real sense of how our week went.
Yes.
No matter how the week felt. And I think that's what's been something that we've always done, is that, you know, the week can end and we'll maybe feel like, oh, you know, it didn't do so well. And then the numbers help us see how we really did. And very often it's better than what we thought. And the reason why that's important is that then we get motivated for the next week. Because I can understand how, if you're always feeling like things are quiet or slow, that you can get unmotivated, and then it's like this bad cycle where you're putting less work into it and less excited.
You're like, nothing's selling, nothing ever sells, and you're like, oh, wait a second, I actually made X amount this week. That's way more than I thought. You know?
So here's to me how it felt. It started out pretty good. We had a good like Thanksgiving day, and then these past like 3 days have been dead for us. Like, we're making like under $100 a day. So I'm feeling, you know, we're getting into this, it's next week, like things are dead.
Right.
But I look at our numbers, and we did pretty good.
Yeah.
So in our main store, we sold 20 items for about $1,300.
That's not bad.
Yep. In our second store, we sold 14 items for almost $800.
Now, I'm so glad that I saw that second store, because the first store, I'm like, $1,200. God, that's really awful. And then I'm like, oh, but we sold like $800 worth of stuff in our second store.
So we sold almost $2,100, and that's, again, about averaging about $300 a day.
Yeah.
So even though the last 2 days we've made under $100 each day, we had a couple days where we made like $700, so it kind of
out. There were a couple days where you're like, we just made $600 in the last 2 hours, and I'm like, whoa. We did sell one thing on Bonanza, a Domino's hat.
Yeah.
$20. It was $20.
You know, we love selling hats, and I know a lot of people have now started buying hats. The ones we love to sell, because they always sell, are like employee hats, like fast food chains and Lowe's.
They sell so fast because there's always people looking for
I'm
those.
assuming, I don't know, employees, you know, maybe they get like a starter hat, and then if they lose their hat, maybe they have to buy it.
Yeah.
And maybe it's cheaper to buy it online. I don't know.
I think so.
Or they don't want to admit they lost their
so they
uniform,
just get another one.
So,
or they just really like Domino's pizza.
Yeah, maybe so.
It could be.
I don't know. So, and just real quick, you listed 87 items.
Yay! Yes, I did list a lot of stuff, and a lot of stuff that I sold.
Yeah.
So, or high dollar items that I listed sold.
Yeah. And I was taking pictures this past week. As always, I feel like I got to a certain point, and then we bought some stuff. So now I'm working on that stuff.
That's just inevitable.
But that's okay.
That happens.
It's good stuff. Okay, things we sold this week.
Okay, so you gotta explain this high dollar item that sold.
So earlier, it's this year. We've had it for a while, and it was one of those things we kind of put aside because it seemed complicated.
Yeah, it was.
I bought for $10 an old steel toolbox.
A Craftsman steel toolbox.
When you open it up, it had all these model rocket parts.
From the 70s.
Right. So, you know, it had all these old stickers on it from like 1972.
I will say this, it looked like absolute junk at first.
Right.
Because the toolbox was filthy. It was dusty. A lot of the stickers were coming off. So at first glance, you're like, oh, it's a box of junk.
But I had a gut feeling like it was cool. Like it was some teenagers in the early
70s.
70s, and this is where he built his model rockets, and then he put it, you know, as he grew older, he kept it, but he just put it away, and then 30 years later, he died.
Yeah.
And then we bought it. And so anyway, I didn't know, so I finally took it out. I started kind of like, it's grouping things up. That's part of my obsessiveness. You know, you start grouping up like the different parts, and I started bagging them up, and there was actually quite a bit, and I took pictures of it all, and then we started to research.
Yeah.
And we saw that some of that stuff does sell well.
Yes.
And so what we did was we sold it for $200.
Yeah.
How do we come across that price? So we put it at
$299 best offer.
Best offer. And so we immediately started getting offers.
I mean, within, an hour.
So over the course of 3 days, we probably got 10 to 15 offers from different people. And really, they set the price for us.
Yeah.
We got a couple that were around $200. And so finally, the third day, we could just tell like no one was going to get above 200. Like we would always counter 275, 275.
And no one would get
No one would kind of break the 200, and this guy offered us 202.
202.
And we took it.
Yeah.
And, people are like, well, why don't you just put it on auction? The problem is that there's just no guarantee that if we had started an auction that it would have, gotten
higher than 200,
So anyway, that made us feel good. We sold it, and it's good. So.
And I shipped it yesterday morning.
Yep.
It weighed 16 pounds. It was heavy.
So we sold some flatware?
Yeah, so I sold some mid-century modern flatware. I will say this. I paid $60 for it. It was 67 pieces, so it was a huge lot. I mean, that is a lot of silverware. I mean, it weighed like 10 pounds of silverware. And I put it up for $199 because it's a rare pattern Stanley Roberts crosspoint. And I got an offer of $150, and I was like, great, I doubled my money.
Yeah.
No problem.
Yeah, we rarely spend that much for items, but sometimes we do. And
I just thought I would be able to get like 200 for it, 200 or so. And I was right, but generally I'm not going to go around paying 60 for that stuff.
Something we found in a thrift store once, again, in some dark corner. It was an atomic clock. I still, at this point, don't really know what it's for. I think it's for, like, CB radio.
It's like ham radio something.
It's like, somehow it tells you the time. And
it was called, like, a beacon, wasn't it? Some kind of, like, time beacon.
Anyway,
we have no idea.
New ones sell for $110. They're still made by, a small electronics company. And ours sold for $96. And I paid $1 for it.
We didn't even have a plug for it. You can buy the plug from the companies for like $5, so I'm sure he's going to do that. But I was just happy we got full price because we had a lot of people messaging us about that. We had a lot of watchers on it too.
We got a lot of people say, I can buy this for new for $110, so I'll give you $30. Like, nope.
I think, you know what, I originally had it up for like $130, but then you pointed me towards the website, or you... Well, I didn't...
I was like, Ryan, it sells for new for cheaper than what we're selling.
I know. I didn't realize. I didn't know. And then so I put it on for 96, and so it sold.
But that's why the best offers are always good, is that, people will start to bid or to give you offers. Sometimes they'll even send you notes, and then they help you find the right price.
So that was the case with that one.
And then the rest of the stuff we sold was, jackets. I mean, we talk about not selling clothes, but we sold a good number of jackets and hats, sweaters and shirts.
Yeah, you'll see it on the video on Wednesday.
And then just like a bunch of like knickknacks and stuff. So
customer issues. This was not anything a customer did, but we sold this nativity set.
I pulled out of the garbage.
We pulled it out of the garbage. It was all porcelain by Mikasa. I bubble wrapped it, double boxed it, floated it, and it still broke. 2 of the pieces cracked in half. So what I did was she paid $50 for it plus shipping, so it was like $60. And I refunded her right away. She sent me photos, and then I did a USPS claim. So I'm still waiting on that. Because you get, as a top-rated seller, you get up to $100 insurance on priority through eBay labels. So I'm hoping they'll reimburse me. I sent them all the proof of everything, so I'll keep people updated on that. That was the only issue we had.
Some news. These are just things we find on the internet that we think are interesting. One thing is Ryan sent me this link to a site called imperfectproduce.com.
Yes. Now, I love this idea. And I will say I saw this. You know who tweeted this on Twitter? Craig Newmark.
Oh, really?
And those of you who are nerds know that Craig Newmark is Craigslist.
Yep.
He's the one that founded Craigslist. So he tweeted this imperfect produce. And what it is it's like getting a CSA, which is like, they deliver boxes of produce to you.
What does that stand for?
Community supported agriculture. But what they do is they get the leftovers from farms that can't be sold at grocery stores because they're
ugly fruit.
They're
and vegetables.
In quotes imperfect.
Right.
And it's really awesome. You know why? Because a box of produce from them, like a big family size, is $12 a week.
Wow.
That's really cheap for a CSA.
Yep.
So it's only in like Berkeley area, Oakland.
Yeah, it's only in California.
But I love that idea. I was like, yes, that's such a good way.
And actually, there was a documentary made recently about ugly fruit, and where these 2 people went around to farms and just told the story about how farmers are having to get rid of or devalue so much of their, I forgot what percentage it was, of the stuff they grow, because stores, and I guess ultimately consumers, are demanding when they go to the store, they want the perfect piece of fruit. They don't want any kind of like or a vegetable. It can't look weird. Like, it's got to look like a cartoon piece of fruit or vegetable. And so all the stuff that doesn't look like that, I guess, either gets thrown away or maybe sold really cheap to something else. I mean, so anyway, this is the kind of company that's trying to say, like, we can get this stuff. And it kind of reminds me, when we first moved to where we are now,
Yes.
we would go help a local couple that had a small farm.
Yes.
They were farming about 10 acres, vegetables, and they would sell them at the farmer's market.
Right.
And we would go over there on afternoons and help them just do chores.
Pick vegetables and stuff like that.
And when picking time came, we would help them pick for their business. And then afterwards, they would allow us to glean.
Yeah.
We could pick anything that they chose not to pick.
Yeah.
Stuff that had fallen on the ground.
Right. So I remember this one time we got these huge baskets of tomatoes, and we canned so many tomatoes that lasted forever.
I think we're eating those for like 3 years.
Yeah, I mean, it was really... that's the first time I ever canned anything or did anything, and it was amazing.
Yep.
You know?
And, and so...
I made my own ketchup.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that couple, they kind of got out of the
farming business.
And he's making hot sauce now.
Well, he makes hot sauce, and he does grow stuff for his hot sauce.
And they had a kid, and she started to teach at the local elementary school or high school.
She's high school.
So anyway, I guess farming is a tough business.
It is a tough business.
So things we learned in the comments. There were a lot of people talking about stuff. One thing that popped out was this one person. I think they were anonymous. They told the story of a job that they just quit.
Yep.
I'm gonna say it's a she, but I don't know. So she said that she just got this job.
It was a part-time job.
Yeah. I forgot how much. $10 an hour. Yeah. Who knows? And I don't know what they did, but she said that there were rules where you went in there and you had a desk and you weren't allowed to talk to anybody. You had to sit there and I guess do whatever work they wanted you to do, and you couldn't talk to anyone. And that I guess she said that she was like a chatty person.
Because she was new, friendly. She was talking to people like, what am I supposed to be doing?
Or just imagine getting a job where you can't talk to anyone. So the boss made her sit in a desk by herself.
In a corner, facing the wall.
And she just said, how crazy it is to be treated like an adult like that. And so she just didn't go back one day.
You mean treated like a child?
Sorry, yeah.
Being an adult.
She's an adult and she's being treated like a child.
Like you're in a timeout and you're in kindergarten.
Right.
What?
So anyway, that just really, and I guess she's selling on eBay. And, I thought that story was good because those are the kind of jobs we talk about.
Yeah.
About what motivates us to do what we do and to deal with, the issues that pop up on eBay. It's whatever issues we can complain about what happens on eBay. They are not like the story of this person.
Yeah.
I haven't had a job quite that bad.
Right.
But I've had jobs like that where I just feel like I'm just a little tiny cog that's not being treated very well.
It's tiptoeing around.
That's barely making by.
Yeah.
And, I was thinking about that. If you're getting paid $15 or less at your job, I just can't see it being worth putting up with bad treatment, because if you put the same amount of time into that job that's paying you, it's $15 or less, you're going to make that much money or more selling on eBay.
Yeah.
If you do the work. I mean, that's the thing.
Exactly.
I hear people, they say they quit their job and they're selling on eBay, and I always get the feeling like they aren't really putting in as much time into eBay
as a full-time job.
You've got to put 40 actual hours into the job.
Yeah, especially in the beginning.
And I know that's tough because when you're working at home and no one's looking over at your shoulder, it's tough to put in 40 hours because
there's a lot of distractions.
Yeah.
But not when you have to pay the bills.
Yeah. But, at the same time, I know some people get paid a lot more and it's worth it for them to get to keep their job. There are people who really enjoy their jobs and are treated well with benefits and, and they
like to do eBay as a hobby, and that's fine.
And so that's good, too. Our coming week, what will it be like, Ryan?
There are lots of things going on this week, but we are going to be doing eBay mostly.
We got to list.
Yes. I need to list. I mean, you're taking photos of so much stuff, it's almost annoying. I get the camera from you, and I'm like...
More photos.
I have so much stuff to organize into folders. But the great thing is, when I get my folders organized and I start listing, the listing goes fast.
Because not only do I take the photos, I'm also writing
that makes
the
it
titles.
Go really fast.
It's measuring. So my hope is you're mainly just kind of copying and pasting.
It's like data entry. It's fast.
And then doing then it's making sure its prices are going to be
that's
appropriate.
True. That's why I can list so fast. Like, I can catch up to you pretty quickly.
Good.
When I need to. So
but we've got to do that this week.
I don't know why you're emphasizing that. Like, obviously we have to do that this week. You're just like, we have to, as if we didn't do that last week, as if we didn't do that like on Thanksgiving. I mean, this is just ridiculous. The urgency in your voice.
It is.
Oh my God.
Because this is it, it's like...
Yeah, I know. This is the time.
Now, between now and Christmas time,
Yeah.
3 weeks.
No, I know. I hope that...
we are definitely seeing that people are purchasing things that feel like kind of holiday purchases, like gifts, things people are buying for themselves,
right?
That kind
Absolutely.
Of stuff.
So our rental property, we do talk about our rental property in detail on our other podcast, which is called Shampoo and Booze, and the URL is shampooandbooze.com. And what's really cool is we just interviewed a fellow eBayer, Anna, who comments on the blog a lot. You guys have probably seen her. She runs a rental in Colorado. She lives in California, but she runs the rental in Colorado. And we interviewed her, and it's really interesting to hear how she runs it long distance like that. So you can go to shampooandbooze.com and listen to Anna.
Cool. So let's answer some questions that people have either emailed or called in. We really don't have, I think we only have one this week. So it's going to be a quick one.
I know. And you can always call us at 540-407-8486. You have 3 minutes to leave a message or a question or a comment on anything you heard or anything you're thinking about in relation to eBay.
Hi guys, it's Vince with Cash from Closets in Colorado. I think I've mentioned this before, but I had a great story about how you're all tipped to me, among many, good grief, can't count them all, to check auctionzip.com for local auctions. And I have a full-time job, and so I have yet to attend an auction in person, but I look forward to doing that. So I look for all the online auctions that are somewhere near me, and so I can go pick up the items that I've won and, not have to worry about shipping and everything. And AuctionZip's great that way. You can go to the website and put in how far away you want to know about the auctions. It has a calendar and everything. Well, I stumbled upon a really good auction that I hadn't seen before, and I guess they have it every month. It's one of the counties. It's a combination of surplus office equipment and police evidence that I guess has never been returned to the rightful owner. So it's quite a jumble, really, of different items. Very well explained, run by actually a for-profit auction place. And so I just went and picked up my first load from them. And what I wanted to say was that this whole thing is more than about just, making money on eBay, and you guys have said that quite a lot, or making money being a scavenger. Because I don't know if I'll sell these office supplies on eBay or if I'll sell them on Craigslist. Because there's some higher end things which I got for a song, really. And while I was there, the guy who was working there in the warehouse to help me load my car was very nice. So I kind of made a friend because he was, seemed like a super guy, and the whole company was very well run. And so I always ask, and I'm always making a point to ask, and actually this time he offered before I even had a chance to ask. I always say, even at estate sales, if I'm picking things up, is there anything that didn't sell that you guys, might want to still clear out of here? And like I said, this time he offered, said, yeah, there's 3 printers that didn't sell. They're lower end DeskJet printers, but HP, and people still use those. And so he said, if you want them, you can have them for free as long as you take them right now. And so just because, I was chatting them up, and I didn't do that to get something free, but I did have the tip of asking if there's anything left to be sold or auctioned, and sometimes you'll pick up something for free. So I got 3 printers, and I think they'll each sell for $40 on eBay. So you guys are amazing. Just want to pass that along. Having a great time building my business with all of your tips, and we'll sure be seeing you around. Thanks so much for all you do for us. Bye-bye.
My first comment is, police evidence.
Yeah.
That is fascinating.
I love stuff like that. You know?
I've never heard of that in an auction. They sell off old evidence. That's so wacky.
It's so crazy. Yeah. But he's right. We do the same thing. You go to auctionzip.com and you type in your
zip code,
and you can either find online auctions or you can find in-person auctions.
Yeah.
And it's great. You can go.
You can find them anywhere. If you're visiting a state, I mean, when we were down in Florida one time, we're just like, what's the zip code? Let's find an auction tonight.
I mean, that's why we love traveling in America. Yeah. We'll go somewhere for some reason, and then what do? We'll go to an auction. Like, we'll visit family and we'll go to an auction. People are like, where are you going? Like,
we're going to go buy some junk. But it's cool.
We get to go to a different part of town and
see different stuff that they're selling.
Meet people.
I mean, there are other dealers there. It's funny.
But and then I do like what he says. You know what? I've never done that. It's before. So he says, he asks the people, like, is there anything you're just trying to throw away?
Trying to give away.
And that's a smart idea. And it's cool. I should try that.
I've never done that.
I've heard people do that at estate sales too, where they'll be like, is there anything you're trying to get rid of? And they'll say yes. I guess I'm always afraid to do that. I don't know why. I mean, I know we've been at estate sales and we've just seen stuff in the trash and just
taking it,
grabbed
garbage. Yeah,
I don't know why.
Maybe because you're afraid you're gonna be like, oh no, that actually is garbage. I don't want any of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't want to offend them or something.
Yeah.
But that was a good call.
Yep. Okay, so that is it for this week. Hope everyone has had a good holiday and things are selling for you.
Holiday sales.
You can check out our blog at scavengerlife.com, and that's where any links we talked about you can find, or if you want to join the conversation there. You can call or leave a question or comment on something that you heard.
And the phone number is 540-407-8486.
We post an episode every Sunday night or Monday morning, depending on our schedule. Like today we're driving some furniture, so hopefully
I'm going to get this up on time.
Wednesday we normally post our What Sells video that shows how much we sold stuff for, and you can actually see some of these things we talk about.
Yeah.
You can subscribe to us through iTunes or through YouTube, so you can get the latest. And thank you for being here.
Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Have a nice week. We're ending this podcast in 3, 2, 1.
Bye.